Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Know the Code Show. Today is episode 11. We're going to do something fun today. You know, we've been spending weeks talking about the WordPress event management system, right? And we've been looking at filters specifically. And there was a reason why we started with filters. And today we're going to wrap that up and show you why we started with filters. And I'm going to blow your mind. It'll be fun. Okay, I kept it kind of short, and I only put in 4 questions this week, but they required you to go and look in core and discover for yourself that actions and filters are essentially the same thing. Okay, I can hear explosions all over the place. Boom, 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 boom. All of us have learned over the years that actions do what? They're events that fire that tell you, okay, hey, I'm doing something, and now you can go do something too, right? And filters, what do? Well, they are a way to tap in and say, okay, I'm firing this event, and I'm going to send you some stuff. And you can send me back the first parameter so that I'm able to then change my implementation, right? That's what a filter does. But did you know that actions and filters are essentially the same thing? The only thing that's different is that actions are just not returning the value. That's it. That's all that's different. Let's go and take a look and see why that is. And I'm going to prove that to you today. And then next week, actually not next week, we're going to skip next week because of the holidays here in the US. The following week, what we'll do is we're going to do some refactoring too, so that you guys can learn all about how to refactor and keep your code single-purposed and dry. But let's get to this week. All right, so if we look at the questions, and here's the sample code that I gave you guys. You can see it here on the screen. And we're going to get to this here in a second, and I'm going to prove to you that actions and filters are basically the same thing. And while I've got it up on the screen, let me show you how I'm going to do that. These 2 hooks right here, these 2 event names are filters. They are filters. Let's see and take a look at them. We don't want that. We want this one. Okay, so here's the first one, private title format. And what is it right here? What's it say? Apply filters. And it's passing in a string as well as the post itself, the post object, an instance of a post. And you can then manipulate this string right here and change its value. So it is a filter. Let's go back and look at the starting code. Look, I've got it right here. But I said add action. I didn't say add filter when I wired up my callback. And here's the callback down here. So question number 2, I'm going to skip question number 1 first because we're going to come back to it. So question number 2, I asked you in this question, why the plugin's callback function, why this callback right here, why did it execute? Maybe I should ask you first, should it execute? And does it execute? Well, let's just see. Sometimes people just need to see. So if I refresh this, and you see right here, what am I echoing out? What am I rendering out to the screen? If I come down here, the very first line in this code is, hey, right here, this string gets echoed out, right? So if I come, I come back here, you can see it right there on the screen, but it's a filter. I registered my callback using add_action. Why did that call? Why did my callback execute? Let's start looking at the code. We need to dig into core to be able to understand. And the first place we're going to start is to look at the AddAction, right? Because that's what I wired myself up to right here. I did AddAction. Well, it makes sense then. Let's take a look and see what does AddAction do. I hope that you guys opened up this file because you need to understand it. This is in WP-includes, and it's the plugin.php file. This is where all of your event management system, all the magic, this is where this is happening. All right. So I jump down here to AddAction, and you see I'm passing in the event's name, which gets loaded into a variable called $tag. This is my callback. This is the function to add. This is the priority and the number of accepted args. Let's go take a look. Just to refresh everybody's brain. This gets stored in the variable tag. Here is my callback. That's my priority, and I want 2 variables to be passed to me. So let's go and take a look. AddAction. See it here? What's the first line and the only line in this function? AddFilter. Do you see it? Cool. Your mind's blowing now, isn't it? So I could use either one. They're the same thing. Excellent. Now, your light bulb is turning on in your brain and you're going, wow, that's really cool. But the first thing I want you to see is look at how many lines of code are in this function and look what they did here. This is a quality coding alert, folks. This is dry. It's a perfect example of dry, which means don't repeat yourself, right? Here's a good example right there. And we're going to see some examples of not dry, very, very wet code as we move through this. And we're going to deal with that in the next episode. All right. So now we know that if I wire up the callback to AddAction, it's going to call AddFilter. So therefore, that's why this callback fired. Excellent. Now we learned about CurrentFilter last week, but we didn't look at CurrentAction. So question number 3 is, if you're looking at this, do they evaluate to the same thing? We know that the CurrentFilter goes and it looks at which filter right now is executing. It's actively executing, which means it's the last one in that global, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you want to go back to the last episode and watch that one because we really dug into that baby and understood it. Okay, so it's telling me that right now, this is the one that's firing. That's what this is telling me. How about current_action? Now, it makes sense that why wouldn't you have them both do the same thing, right? But as you read the labels, the naming, the purposeful naming, it's telling you one's for a filter and one's for an action. So you would think that they're different things. They're not. They're the same thing. The same thing. Let's see. Here it is. Yes, both current_ are the same thing. Well, let's go take a look at the code. Why not? Okay, so I'm back in here and I want to look at CurrentAction. What do you see on line 2 there, which actually is line 369 here on the screen? What do you see? CurrentAction calls CurrentFilter. Minds are blowing everywhere. This is excellent. So again, another perfect example of dry coding. CurrentAction is repurposing and using CurrentFilter so that only had to write the code one time. They are the same thing. Yeah. So you're going to say, okay, let me look at CurrentFilter. CurrentFilter is using this global right here. See the global, which is $WP_current_filter. And it looks at the very last one that is stored, that very last element in that array. That's what end does. That's what we learned about last week. So it's the one that is currently right now actively executing. That's the one that it's looking at. So these two are the same thing. All right, let's move on. Question number 4. We're going to get back to question 1 here in a minute, but I thought maybe we'd reverse the order to have it make a little bit more sense to you so that I'm proving to you that this works. Okay, question number 4. This time I'm looking at do_filter and doing_action. And we're going to see, are these the same thing? That's what question 4 asked you. So we learned last week about doing filter, right? Let's go. We'll open this back up. Let's see. Boy, my eyes are awfully squiggly today. There we go. Here's doing filter. And again, here's this global. See the global there. And we learned about this last week. And it checks that is the filter name, the event name within this array. That's all it's doing. It's just seeing, is it being processed? Is it one of the ones that are currently firing? It's not the last one necessarily in that list, but it's one of the ones that is firing. And you saw last week how I was able to stack up events. So this event called that event, and then you were able to see more events that were logged in here. So it wasn't just, oh, well, why is this an array? Well, there's a reason to it. You know, you're in the loop, that's put in there. And the one that we're doing right now is the private _title_format event. And that one's in there too. Okay. So I'm actively checking, is this one being fired? And I'm going to look to see if doing action has the same event. Well, you already probably know the answer, because otherwise, why would I be blowing your mind about it, right? So let's scroll down. Look at that. Yes. Huh. Both doing _functions, whether it's event or filter, are the same. They are the same, folks. Let's go and see. There's that one. And if you just scroll down here, there's doing action. And line 413, which is the only line in this function of doing _action, does what? It's calling doing _filter. It's the same thing. Okay. Did I beat that to death? Now we got to go back to question number 1. So that we can discover why. Why is this the case? Why? That's what we're all about here, right? Is the whys. Okay, question number 1, I asked you, are actions the same as filters? Well, you already saw a few examples of, yeah, they're the same, right? And there is a distinct difference in the very last action that occurs, the very last thing that occurs that differentiates what a filter and an action is. But in essence, they are the same thing. So let's take a look. And what I'm going to do is take a look at apply filters. Oop, wrong one, that one. And we have gone through this code inside and out. And anybody who's new and has not seen this previously, there's many episodes on apply filters where we just dissect the heck out of all these lines of code so that you understand what's happening. But let's scroll down. This is what we learned about last week. Right here is the global for the current filter. And you can see that when you call apply filters, which in this case is when this fires, and you're going to say, well, when does that fire? When the title, the function get _ the title is fired, it comes down and it says, yes, I'm a private post, which is what I have on the screen. If you come back, this is a mock private page right here. So therefore, that particular event is now going to fire right here. And so when it calls apply _filter, here's what happens. Here's the event name, there's the value. And it comes down and it puts the event name into that global for current filter. And we already saw from doing and current functions that it uses that global, right? We already saw that. Then we do a sort, then we reset to make sure that we're pointing back to the very first one, the first callback that are registered here in the global WP _filter. And if you don't understand any of this code here, you got to go back and watch previous episodes because we walk through it in detail. Okay, then we're going to come down. And we're going to grab all the args that got passed, and let's see. I have one extra arg here, so we grab those args. And here is where it's going to do the processing for each one of the callbacks that are wired up, that are registered. If you're not used to my term wired up yet, that's what I mean. I'm an electrical engineer. I think in wiring. And computers. Sorry, folks, but back when I started many moons ago, there still were a lot of wires in computers. All right, so this is where it's firing. And then we come down and we say, okay, I'm done with all my callbacks. I've done all of those. Now I'm going to pop, which means remove that last element in our global current filter. And we saw our last element is the one that is executing right now, the one that just called the apply filters, the very last element in that global, and then I return the value. That's what apply filters does. Now, let's go look at DoAction. Okay, here's DoAction. And you see I've got a tag and I've got an arg. That's the first arg that could come in. And then I've got, if I come down, I've got more args that I can grab, right? Here's more args that I can grab. And you can see here that I'm using the same global for CurrentFilter, and I'm sticking in the event's name, which is stored in $tag. So now the one that's firing, which in our case, if we go back again, the one that's firing right now is this one, right? Private title format. That's the one that's firing right now. And so I stick that in there, and you see that's exactly the same, right? This code right here is just a little bit different, but it's essentially doing the exact same thing. It's loading up the args that are then going to be sent to the callback. And then we come down and we sort. And I want you to notice right here, look at this code. Do you see that it's identical? It's very wet, very wet. Actually, this whole function is very, very, very wet because there is a ton of repeating going on over and over and over again. We didn't have to do it this way. And in the next episode that we do, we're going to refactor apply filters and DoAction so that we can see how you can refactor out all that duplication. Since they're using all the same code, why not just refactor out the duplicated parts? Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Let's get back to today. Stop talking about the future. Come on. So we come down and we can see this is the same. So let's walk through what's happening. Both event names are being stored in $WP_filter. Okay, let's come back up. You can see for this one, here's WP_filter, and then there is actions. So that is different than apply filters, but everything else is the same. Okay, so we can refactor this to just deal with the differences. If we come down, we've got a current going on. We've got, this is the same. This is the same. The next thing is that the types are being stored in the global WP_current_filter to keep track of all the events that are being processed. And we see that right here. Both functions are gathering up the args. We saw that in apply filters. We see it right here. Yeah. Okay. They both are sorting right here. Okay. They both are resetting. They both are handling the loop the same way and how they're calling each of the callbacks. It's exactly the same circuitry for processing, and they both are popping off when it's all done. That particular event's all done. They're both popping it off the end of the current filter. It's the same, folks. It's the same. So the big difference is, if we scroll down, what's missing here on the bottom? What's missing right there? Well, you do an array pop, and then it's just done executing, right? That's what's different. Now let's go back to, watch your eyes. Here's apply filters. We come down. Here's the line that makes it different. Right there. A filter returns the value. So here, when I do the call and I'm calling out to each of the callbacks, I'm bringing back the value, right? And I'm able to, the very last one that manipulated it, the very last callback that manipulates it is the value that gets returned. So each one of these can change the value, let's say I had for, I come back over here. Let's say for private underscore title underscore format, I had 10 different callbacks wired up to that. Wow, that's a lot, but we'll just, for argument's sake, say there's 10. They're going to go in order by how you put in your priority. And the very last one that gets executed is the one that returns the actual value to the caller. So whoever called it, which in this case is back here, then it will get assigned into private title format, and then it's processed. The processing continues. So that's how that works. Okay, so did you see from today how it's the same? It's all the same. The only big difference, I mean, there's little nuances that are different between DoAction and ApplyFilters. Very, very little, and we can deal with that in the next episode and how we're going to refactor it. The biggest difference is just this line right here, in that ApplyFilters returns and DoAction does not return. That's the largest difference between it. Okay, wow. No questions today? Oh, guys, you're so quiet. Okay, excellent. If you guys, after you watch this episode and you go, oh my goodness, I don't get it, you know where to find me. Come on over to Slack and you can ask me questions there and I'll be glad to answer them. For those of you who are not members and you're watching this and you have questions, you can leave comments at the end of the post. There's a full tutorial of everything I just blabbered on about that gets published about a half hour after the end of this episode. So it's available for you as a reference to always go back to. Great. Everybody have a great day. Boy, this was fun. Next time it's going to be even more fun as we're going to dig in and actually refactor this time. More stuff for you to learn. All right. Have a great day. Talk to you later.